Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. Ding dong, diddly ding, ding, fring, sting. Too many dang things to check. Turns out my microphone was switched at the cord. I'm not joking about being suspicious. It turns out they found out. They claim that they've got evidence that Apple, they pre-sabotage their phones so that they're deliberately and programmed so that they will slow down and lose functionality over time. Steve Jobs was a shit weasel. Reports I never bathed. Didn't believe in deodorant. Spied on his workers. Ran him into the ground. Come on! He's out there. His entire company runs on a cult of personality. And has, for decades before he croaked. His products are 10 times as expensive, less functional, and he, quite frankly, steals features from other companies and then claims credit for them. Or did while he was alive, still doing it. New cell phone. The old charging cord will no longer fit the new phone, and that's your hero. No cord, no socket for earbuds or headphones. No, that's just brilliant thinking, I swear, you could take you could make a portable. You could take a bug zapper, stamp the Apple logo on it, and Steve Jobs would flock to it. I don't like the guy. Of course, I don't like the guy. I didn't like him when he was alive, and I don't like the company now that he's dead. Got no use for somebody that relies entirely on his branding rather than the quality of his product. Yeah. That's the thing. I mean, you can never, it's breaking up a little at your end. You can never tell. That's the heartache of it. That's the headache of it. You can never tell. Is it my end? Is it your end? Is it hardware? Is it the software? Is it your software? Is it my software? Is it your computer? Is it my computer? Is it any of the 10,000 things in between? Some tech guy someplace decided to spend the next half hour picking his nose, and so nothing is going to work right in his entire district. What is it? Yeah, I've heard about. I'm seeing the news all over Facebook and everything about the shooting at Vegas. And I'm like, what pisses me off? What really pisses me off is everybody's mouth was, well, now let's not jump to conclusions. And there's evidence he was tied to Antifa. I remember back when 2001 had happened, when 9/11 had happened. I remember within 24 hours, I was upset, I like everybody was. I was tore up and I was angry. I drew up a caricature of a chicken in a whatever you call those Arab hats, the towel around the head thing, towel on the head thing, wearing a suicide bomber vest and squatting on a toilet, and I titled it Chicken Shits, and I posted it up on an art gallery I belong to, online art gallery I belong to, and it was yanked down within the hour. And then, everybody came out and lectured away. No, we're not going to have any racist assumptions. Son of a beep, for the previous 20 to 30 years at that point, Arab Muslims had been hijacking airplanes, holding people hostage, killing them, even blowing planes up. But I was the racist for drawing the obvious conclusion on who flew a plane into our buildings. We don't want to be, we don't want to offend the Muslims, and we don't want to make any, prejudiced assumptions, and it's Muslims. And I'm looking at this, and even before all the virtue signaling had started, even before our hearts go out to the people in Vegas, good for you. What do you want, a cookie? But then these people come out, and the first thing out of their mouths, even before that was, no, we don't want to draw any conclusions or jump to any, we don't want to politicize this. Excuse me? The Democrats didn't even wait for the bodies to be cold before they, it was literally within an hour that Hillary Clinton was on TV saying we need to stand up to the NRA. Excuse me? We don't want to draw conclusions. Of course, all these sons of bitches were out there hoping to God it was a white person. Yeah, that'll make the dead people a lot more. Oh well, thank goodness we weren't shot by a brown, people. That would create, a horrible backlash. What's known as alertness. Turns out apparently it was a white guy, and apparently the guy has ties to Antifa. Apparently the guy's father used to be on a FBI watch list. So, but everybody's rushing around to cover everything up, so business as usual. How the hell Hillary Clinton stayed out of prison is a measure of just how arrogant our elitist betters have become. How obscene their level of power is. That woman should have been in prison 20, 30, 40 years ago. She's been involved, and she's a nasty human being, too. People have worked with her. She's just, she makes Leona Helmsley look like Mary Poppins. I mean, queen bitch. Just treated everybody, treated the Secret Service, treated uniformed soldiers, just treated everybody, treated the staff like shit. And still does. And what do the feminists say? It's time for a woman to run things. Well, if you actually find a woman instead of a mummified stick of beef jerky with estrogen, we'll talk. That thing, just voting for a vagina, Now, Antifa is out there with our brethren, those Trump supporters today. They yanked it right back down. These people do not, they The liberals want to pretend that this country does not have enemies, that we do not know who they are, and that we can somehow survive as a nation without fighting them. This is nonsense. We can't go on like this. They're going to lie their asses off about who was involved. When they found out it was a white guy, I bet every talking head in the news industry, every leftist newscaster in the industry sprung wood so hard they flipped over their news desk. It was a white guy at last. Of course, you're not going to hear it on the news about Antifa ties. You expect an Antifa sympathizer to badmouth Antifa? And that's what they are, Antifa sympathizers. Those sacks of shit working in the news and media, they will sympathize and empathize and collaborate with anybody except their own country. The idiot that praises with enthusiastic tone every century but this and every culture but his own. Gilbert and Sullivan knew these guys. Nothing changes over the centuries. This is a kind of a downer to start out with, but doggone, seriously, really, I mean, holy crap. For some reason, my inbox on Archive of Our Own keeps refilling with old emails deleted. Don't know what the story is with that. Just keep... This is my life. Getting here. Oh, I'm going to do so much, and I don't get anything accomplished. Just cookie. Really tired. I couldn't seem to get sleep. I would start to get up, I'd go to bed, and I'd try to go to bed, and I'd doze off in my chair, wake up a couple hours later, and then I'd try and pick up where I'd left off, and it's been like this for the past 2 or 3 days. just off rails continually. Sleep last night. I didn't. I tried to sleep this morning rather, and my bed broke down. I thought springs I had broken down in the middle, and I lifted up the mattress to slide a board underneath. I forgot. The bed I have is actually a futon. It's a fold out steel frame. It's designed to fold into a couch or into a flat bed, and it's made of steel bars. There is no spring in that. There's no springs. It's just steel rods. The springs are in the mattress itself that sits on top, and the bars are broken. The level joints just finally broken, popped. I took a big sheet of plywood that I've got, and I managed to slide it up under there. But I got to get myself a new bed frame at least, and definitely a new mattress and spring. You know, I need mattresses and springs and all that other crap. I'm thinking of getting like a little bitty twin bed. They got these little dirt cheap all metal frames. And I'm just gonna set one up. I'm thinking of setting it up here in my work/living room, so that I can stay in here where the heat is and where it's warmer over the winter. You know, just retreat to the kitchen and living room, and more or less leave everything else shut down. Try and conserve heat. I think for a quick opener, I'm gonna show you. I haven't done. You know, let me show you my Minecraft. I've been playing it on peaceful mode. You know, so no monsters. You know, I wasn't up for fighting off zombies and zombies that are on fire, or zombies that explode, and you know all this other crap. While I'm playing a game. And but I wasn't interested in the creative mode. Is basically where you get all the toys for free. And I fiddled around with it a little bit. It's not very much fun. It's too easy, and you get bored quickly. So I stick with survival mode, peaceful level difficulty. pigs, cows, sheep. I've seen pigs, I've seen cows, I've seen sheep, I've seen horses and donkeys. Have it. You see, I built a little shed out here. Really good mine shaft down here. I've dropped shafts around my house and looking for, not really finding much. You want part about building a ridge and stuff like that is getting to the edge and dropping blocks with the side. But if you let's see here, do I have blocks? No, I don't have any blocks. But anyway, if you want to hold down the creep right to the edge, see now you can lock on to the inside block on the edges of the block without off. Extruded for some reason, I don't know. And this is the dangerous thing to a bucket of water stake in this game because you insert a cube of water that creates more the water flowing there real if you look real close. I ended up with a waterfall next to my house before it gave anything away. This is my portal. This is the portal to the Nether. Basically, it's the odd elements. A lot. You can what water does. You can put it up in buckets. Block of it. It will start spreading, and it will generate more water. And you can see here, I dropped a couple blocks of lava along. Now I've got a wall within the building. Now, and a lava boat. Even if I did have monsters, now, build a pen. One sheep. We made some pumpkin. Combine a pumpkin with a lamp. And this is glowstone, which is much brighter than the torches. You can see there, put one in there. Very bright, very luminous. I can't figure out how to put open. I can switch inside, but I can't figure out which. You know, apparently, I don't know how to open. If from inside, I'd have to dig through the wall. Anyway, here's my lava pit. You know, still flowing a bit. The work area. And my greenhouse. The trees, the last of the trees is bloomed. I've probably got to go out some branches off where they stuck out through the glass. Perfect. No, I think it's already done. Yeah. Anyway, this is greenhouse. Got little red, little purple flowers, little yellow, and pumpkins. Was exciting. Got a greenhouse on the roof here, as you can see. When I want to sleep, I can sit right here. It is raining in the game. Wish it would. I miss the rain. I love gays. I'm glad it rained so much in the game. Anyway, there you go. Put more glowstone in there to help the greenhouse. And of course, my tower. I was only going to build a tower 3 or 4 times the height of this one, but I got tired of stacking those blocks. I turned it into a sort of a lighthouse, so I could, a beacon, so I could see myself from, see the place from just about anywhere. But for some reason, light sources other than the sun and the moon, you can't see the limited range as everything else. You turn the horizon, you'd see that in this dark, but you can't. Myself going outside and dropping mine shafts. I'm having the dickens of a time finding any gold. You see, you need gold ore to make electronic devices like powered rails. But gold is like the rarest thing in the game. Can't find it for nothing. And here's my mine. Mine? 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 You can climb up when you got it. It's just... Come on. I'm down far enough, all the way down to the bedrock. Little trapdoor. Let's go outside and look around. Can't close the side. That's kind of a bummer. That's a steel door, by the way, instead of a wooden one. Figure I have something other than anyway. Oh, that's right. Got to put another card out here. Just a second. The nice thing is you can make a roller if you want with this setup. Let's see here. Oh no, still block. I have got. I'm looking for a block of steel in here somewhere. Make a drat. I left out on the island. No fudge. Looking in the rain. Got some chicken ducks. That thing is look like duck. I'm going to lay out tracks all the way out to walk. There's a block. Let's see, what do I need for a cart? You can make all sorts of crap in this. You can even make monsters. Egg action to them, cages that are generated. That's the carcass. cart. We got you. Make a minecart. Minecart. Well, I forgot I left the other minecart back at. Oh, get out of my face, sheep! Oh no, you just gonna stand there? Die, die! Get out of here! And back through the rain. You can't even see the torch. You should be able to see the torches all the way across, but no. It's something that I really wish to fix. I mean, not much making a lighthouse if you can't. Okay. We mine shafts all over the place out here. I turn the underground. Now, I've got a long way to go before the minecart system, the trolley system, where I want it. But I already have. A powered rail all the way out to the village. Check. Oh, there we are. Found it. Found it. I knew I left it somewhere. No, switch carts here. See those power rails? You need a torch to power them, or a couple of goals. Set them every yards or meters. You know, just about where you're going to slow down, and you pick up. Hopefully that stupid thing will go all the way back. No, it won't. Be on board it for it to go all the way back. Crap. Oh well, and welcome to the village. I turned their laptop. A few odds and ends there. There used to be a way to turn into basically a steam engine, putting a furnace on it. Don't do the Windows 10 version. And this is build it out. I build a four block sitting by 5 high with the whole, and then you use a flint steel spark to open it, and here you go. And this is the Nether world. It's got and orbs and such that you can get around here. I saw those brick block looking things over there, and I was like, oh boy, a castle. It's not. Just well, maybe I could try and get over there. It looks like they have windows there. You know, they programmed it to build it so it's like a castle, but you know, it don't know why. I'm gonna get a few blocks of ore so I can build a. Using the diamond pick. Diamonds are almost as rare as gold is. Of course. They're the ultimate material for building anything. Armor. The Windows 10 game has a lot of is missing a lot of features that other versions of the game have. Okay, here we go. We got a bridge all the way across. It looks like a castle. Look, got windows and everything, but it's nothing but solid illusion. It's a trick. Got to give the programmer a hand for actually managing to make something that looks, you know, program it to build castle randomly. As you can see, just drill from there. This isn't usually advised drilling straight up. I'm gonna try and drill up to the top so I can put those hiding, if anything. There's supposed to be abandoned mines and buildings and such. I haven't found any yet. Of course, the game's huge. They say something that I read somewhere that the game is supposed to have the same surface area as like Dune. What? Ah! You gotta watch your step in this game. You fall off, you go. Nothing but fake ghosts. That is rather disappointing. I was expecting like an unworld castle or something. No love, no joy. Get back to the gate. I'm really not in the mood to die, fall into the lava, die, and carry. remember just like this. Ta-da. And they're in the gate. Through. Up that castle. A ton of rocks, sand, nether quartz, stone. This is used when you want to light stuff. Another brick fence. Most variations are decoration purposes. Go ahead and save and quit. God only knows what the video quality is like out there that you're seeing here. Oh, my leg. Ugh. Nope, hairpin turns don't dump you out. Of course, running into another cart stops you dead. Look, the guy was rich. Well, let me break it to you. None of the people that the terrorists are not poor people. Okay. They like to pass off as the disaffected and poor, disenfranchised, etc. People, Osama bin Laden. He was the son of a multi-million-dollar oil baron. He was stinking rich. Now, they will use the poor as cannon fodder, but by and large, the people making up the are very wealthy, very well educated in Western schools, I might add, and college. They're just evil sons of bitches. I want to apologize to you. I've not been. I have not been productive. And I really don't think all that stuff you see that I did on Minecraft. I did just about a half hour hour a day. Every now and then, just drop a few blocks, dig a few holes, diggy hole, diggy hole. Then when you're younger, you could forego things, just forego sleep and get an extra productivity in. I'm at that age where you do that, and it acts. Your productive capabilities just go straight down, and I'm still breaking myself with a habit. Cord stuck under my leg. I think I need a new cord for my Wacom tablet. Managed to get some things rolling. Finally got my garbage service reconnected. I'm going to be picking up all my trash on Thursday. And they put me on a line for a... You need to get special permission from your doctor. You have to have your doctor send them a letter saying, this guy could really use some help up his trash. And it's a disability trash service. Basically, all it means is that they don't have to have it at the curb. They'll walk onto the property, pick the trash up. That's the thing of it. I am not exaggerating here. I am 2 steps from the curb. My house is literally like 2 steps from the curb. My trash is lined up in trash cans alongside the side of my house, facing the road. Technically they are not allowed to make 2 steps onto my, not even 1 or 2 steps onto my lawn to pick up those trash cans and dump them. And they're going to do it this time because I begged. But I call my doctor and get my doctor to send a letter to their office with all codes and stuff, so that they have permission to walk 2 extra steps and pick up my trash. It's not that they're that lazy; it's that they're that leery of litigation. That's how screwy things are out there. Here's another example of it. I read about this. This was years ago, and I can't imagine it's gotten with time. They had one of these buses. Little old lady was trying to get on a bus, and she asked for help, and the bus driver informed her he could not help her. Any other civilization, it would have just been a matter of courtesy. Him stepping down. Oh, certainly, help you. Let me give you a hand on. But they're not allowed to do that anymore because of litigation. The lawyers are terrified that if he makes a mistake and Granny slips and cracks a hip, there goes next quarter's profits when they pay this lady off. And so they put all sorts of rules that the guy can't get out of his seat for nothing, and he's not allowed to help. And the poor little old ladies, 2 poor little old ladies actually together, they had to get down on their hands and knees and crawl up the steps into the bus, because that was the only way they could get aboard. And when you look at these people, look at people in civil service or in public service or who work in businesses and such, and they won't, and you're mad at them because they won't take that extra little step. Think about that. They've probably got 1,001 rules and regulations that their company hung around their necks. It says, even when they want to, they can't. And some of it is the unions. Literally in the unions in the filmmaking industry are absolute bastards. I've got so many regulations. They literally cannot take an extra step and pick up a piece of trash. If it's one kind, these people are supposed to haul, the Teamsters. If it's one kind of product, you need a different group to pull it. And if it's a certain, and they argue back and forth at who's responsible for it, and they're just not allowed to do anything. It's a nightmare, and anyway, it's I don't know where I was going. I knew I was going someplace with this topic, and I've forgotten it completely. Well, look at my problems. I tried to get transportation. Now I have coverage in Medicaid, because of my income and everything else. I've got Medicaid, and according to that, I'm supposed to have transportation that will take me to doctor's appointments and things like that. It's covered. A certain number of trips a year, at least. And I tried to get transportation to the hospital in OSU, in Columbus. I live in Marietta. Look it up on the map if you want to know how far it is. It's a 2-hour drive. And they ended up having to jump through all sorts of loopholes to get an ambulance to pick me up and drive me there. They had to put me in a gurney and everything. But I tried to get them, the regular company, they would not, I asked them to send me out a van because I can't sit in a regular car. My legs won't fit in it because it just won't. But in a regular minivan or a van, no problem. But they had all these regulations, and they looked at, and I told, they sent out a guy in a car, and I missed my appointment because that caused all sorts of problems down the road. And I called him up and said, I told you people, I need a van. I can't sit in a car. I couldn't even fit my leg in the guy's back seat. He said, well, looked you up. You're 500 pounds. Is that right? And he said, at that time, yes, it was right. And he said, well, our seats aren't rated for that. I've been riding, there's a taxi service in this area. I've been riding around in it. Not a bit of problem. It's a little bit of a struggle to climb up in and out of it. But, they can get me to and from. I use, to get to the hospital in emergencies. Back from the hospital anyway. And they said, oh, well, we can't let you. Rules and regulations. Basic human decency has become illegal. Simple common sense is a crime. And going the extra step to help the customer, that's not company policy. And the poor bastards who do that kind of thing, who do help out people who do go the extra step or, go out of their way to help, they're being fired. Even though they're the reason that most people go to these companies. I remember years ago, there was some little old lady who worked at an ice cream shop. It was in Reader's Digest. The cops would walk her to the car every night, and as a thank you, she would give them a little 1-scoop cone. And the company found out and fired her. She'd been doing it for a couple of years, and nobody thought about it, and you realize, she'd been, giving out scoops of free company ice cream, and this torqued everybody off, and she got fired. There was a school teacher. There's a school teacher. She got put in charge of the special ed class. And by the end of the year, she had the kids saying their colors, their numbers, their alphabet. She had some of them starting reading, and she got fired. She got fired. Why? Because she hadn't used up her allotted amount of crayons and coloring paper. I'm not joking. I'm not exaggerating. I'm not stretching the truth. Because she hadn't used up the allotted resources, supplies, that the school had given for these special ed courses. She didn't need the crap. She was a quality educator. She knew how to, and them were given. They didn't need piles of paper crayons. They needed hand-on teaching. And she provided it, and they fired her for doing a good job. And you got it, but of course, you look at it from their perspective. By not using up her supplies. This is one of the backwards things about corporations. Every division, every branch of the company gets financing. Every year they get a budget. You know this. I know this. You give out a budget. And the goal of every office is to use up every penny in their budget. Not to cut costs, not to save money, not to be as efficient as possible. Use up every last penny they get in their budget. They don't. The company bean counters come and say, well, they got by with 120, a couple $100 less this year. So let's cut their budget by that much. Now, in any other circumstances, somebody who managed to be prosperous and efficient, and who made the best use of it, they would be trusted with more. But in a corporation, they get punished for it. And so their objective is not to make the best use of their money, but to use up every bit of it, so that they don't get shorted next year. Everybody, and that's the sad thing. That's the insane thing. That's the howling madness of it. Everybody knows about this. Everybody knows it's stupid. Everybody knows it's counterproductive. Everybody knows. Everybody. Everybody. But nobody ever changes it. Nobody tries a different method. Nobody even dares suggest it. And a lot of it is because, okay, it's estimated that the maximum efficient number of people that can work together as a unit, as a whole, is about 150 people. That's about the size of a large, primitive Stone Age village. About 50 to 150 people, max. Beyond that, efficient. And most of our social structures are built around organizations with thousands of people. That nobody, as good as they are, there's nobody who's capable of managing thousands of people or even hundreds of people, but they're expected to. And they pass down all these rules and regulations and company bylaws, and the people underneath, those at the top don't know what those at the bottom are doing, and they're making decisions from 1,000 miles away, and that's no way for an efficient company to run, or an efficient anything. This is how our world runs. Yeah, the hairpin turns on the mine carts. They won't dump you out. Of course, the physics in Minecraft are a really loose approximation of anything. I mean, you go out there, you chop down a tree from the bottom, from the bottom up. So, there you go. And if you don't finish, there'll be chunks of tree floating in the midair. Okay, I don't know where I'm going with this tonight. I really don't. Trying to get myself out of the rut I've managed to get into. Okay, for those who are on Patreon, there is a new September screensaver up. Out the Patreon page. I'll let everybody else take a peek here. This is the Quentin's ship, the Thunderwing, with lots of swirly space stuff in the background. Ooh. I like to think that the designs that I make for the spaceships that Quentin uses are based on practical issues. You know, I like to think I throw a little hard science in there, or at least some little hard science seasoning. This is obviously very loosely based on the Blackbird. It's considerably larger than a typical Blackbird jet. You know, it's a long-range cruiser. So the thing has living quarters. So yeah, it's a little bit larger. The idea being is that you're going to make a spaceship that's designed to land and take off from a planetary surface, including ones with a breathable atmosphere, or an atmosphere breathable or not. It only makes sense that you would make the spacecraft as aerodynamic as is feasible. Now, the Millennium Falcon may look as cool as heck, but as far as being, being a craft meant for landing and taking off on a planetary surface, not really. I think one engineer estimated it would be able to go about 50 miles an hour max in the atmosphere. You know, you could probably, assuming it throws up a big force field bubble around it or something, to streamline it, you could probably go faster, obviously. But there's really no evidence of that in the show or in the books or anything like that, so what can you say? This is the reason Quentin's first ship, called the Thunderbird, it was designed on the line a space shuttle. Because quite frankly, the space shuttle was a bit over-engineered. But it is not. It is anything but aerodynamic. It's been described as like trying to fly a brick with wings. But it was aerodynamic. It was designed to handle powerless re-entry. Which, if you're a paranoid type who's going to be stuck way out in the boonies, out in the wild, deep out in the black of space, millions of light years from home or from anybody who can help you, that might be kind of important in a pinch. Let me see if I can Okay. One of the hassles I'm facing right now is that I had multiple copies of my archives on this here, and I foolishly let this efficiency program delete any duplicate files. You know, it was supposed to go through and delete all the duplicate files. It deleted bunches of duplicate image files. Unfortunately, that made a higgledy-piggledy mess of my archives on my computer. So I'm having to go back and shuffle everything back together. New website. You can see here, most of the strips that were on, they're gone. You know? Because the computer decided, I've got two copies. I got the RHJunior DVD. I've sent in an order for a DVD burner. It should arrive in a week. I feel a bit foolish because I've been trying to set aside 70, 80 bucks for a DVD burner, and then I looked it up on the Walmart site, and they had one for like 15 bucks. I'm like, oh, and they're sending it to me now. It'll arrive Friday, and I can start burning DVDs again. I tried cleaning out the DVD player on this thing, DVD burner and such, and no results, no joy. Okay, I'm gonna check something. Well, let me get something. I have no idea where that stupid image file is. I've got a couple of images of... I tried to clean up my computer. I made a scrambled mess of them all. Welcome to my life. Anyway, this is the first image of the Thunderwing right here. The Thunderbird, rather. It's actually a little more streamlined than the Space Shuttle was. Oh, man, that makes me want to cry, you know, having to say that it was what it used to be. We used to have a space fleet until that son of a bitch Obama shut it down. We had a space fleet. It wasn't much, but it was there. Oh, you want to talk? Anybody starts talking? Oh, fudge! It's not opening it up. A mess. My feet itch. Oh, you found a deer in your driveway? Doe, a deer, a female deer? Doe, a deer, Doe, a deer. No. I used to have an image of the damn thing that was in here. Of course, what I know about space science and such could. But here you go. Here's some of the ship designs I came up with here. This was the original version of the Thunderball. The most current arc and Quentin Quinn Space Ranger. Was I decided the cockpit wouldn't be like here. It would be more like this. On the front, the pilot would lie on his back and be looking up through the windows there. And then I went completely simple and it's basically just a ball of engines, shields, and weapons. That's the version of the Thunderbird. Retractable weapons. Very simplified line, but it would, back when I was a boy, they used to make these little quote-unquote space shuttles out of styrofoam. They're no bigger than the palm of your hand. They were funny. Moon, my parents would buy one for me. Now, this picturing space as being like instead of being like flying, that closer approximation of how you would navigate. Being neutrally buoyant is about the same as being weightless. Drawing loose approximations. And so I tried to model a spacecraft on something that's basically a fish. I got the idea from a story. It was a short story about a man who was a specialist. He was consulted by a orbiting space station. It was a space colony. And they were having problems because it was hard to get one of the things they needed to do, one of the things the people that lived on the station had to do as part of they had to continually because in being in lower gravity, much of the outer ring of the space station was at close to Earth gravity because of the constant rotation. The inner areas, the gravity was much lower, and so people weren't getting enough exercise and getting enough, to keep their bone density up and their muscle density up. And they were consulting with him. One of the things that have become very popular is in the low or near zero G areas, people would wear what looked basically like bat wings, and try flying. But it wasn't very popular because, first of all, the bat wings were kind of creepy looking on their, but that was a minor issue, we realized. The real issue is that flapping around like that took a lot of it took a lot of skill. And it took somebody with particularly gymnastic talent to do it well. Otherwise, you just sort of floundered. And he realized what the problem was, is that birds and bats flap like that because they're working against gravity. And so he took it and he redesigned it. He got rid of the wings, he redesigned the suit, and he put flippers on it. Flippers on the hands for steering, and big, wide, fan-like flippers on the feet for propulsion, so that you could swim basically like a dolphin through the air, or like a big fish anyway. And that was his solution to the problem. The story had it, optimistically looking for that it was going to be very popular, because he tried it on, he went out and did it himself, and he looked cool doing it. And so it was going to be an easy sell. Birds don't fly too well in zero G, but fish would do a lot better. And so I sort of extrapolated the idea to how a spaceship would be, a deep space spaceship would be designed to incorporate zero gravity, the same way a fish is designed to incorporate its own buoyancy. But in retrospect, it's not such a, I'm not so sure about that design anyway. Now the ships use, the Warhammer base ships. I'm taking absolute Mickey out of them. If I ever get back around to those pages, I'm trying to figure out where to transition to on the next page on that. But I don't like Warhammer. I don't like the Warhammer WH-60 guy. I don't like it because it's outright blasphemous. The Emperor of mankind is supposed to be Jesus, basically, and Buddha, and every other religious figure in human history. Literally, he's supposed to have lived all these lives before finally coming out and becoming the Emperor of humankind. And he's supposed to have abolished religion before he got, he went into a coma and ended up in that chair. And the people that make the White Wolf, they think it's fun as hell to make fun of religion, especially Christianity. And gee, I wonder why that would fly up my nose, it's just adolescent Arrested Development teenagers whacking off to their cynical worldview and thinking they're hip and cool because they throw mountains of gore and grimdark into the setting. They think it makes them hip and cool. Whatever the frack they call themselves now. I don't like it. I think it's appalling. All the potential things they can make, all the uplifting things they can make, and this is what they come out with. A hellhole universe. Because it's cute. How many of you have watched My Hero Academia? Boku no Hero Academia. I watched the entire first season, the entire second. I've watched the first 2 seasons already on Crunchyroll. And this is some of the ideas that Japan. Some of the ideas they have for superpowers are just weird. But they, these writers for My Hero Academia, they get superheroes in a way that nobody in the last 20 or 30 years has come close to understanding. The optimism, the hope, the idea of good triumphing over evil, just the good stuff, the stuff we used to read comic books for. They get it, and it just shines through the whole project, and they get what American comic book writers have forgotten. I'm going to go bonkers waiting for the third season to come out. Come on, computer, yep. Checking over some emails I just got. Okay, got that. Okay. Too many ideas, not enough commitment to one project. That's my problem. Too many problems. Just I keep promising that I'll work extra hard. Work extra hard today. Come on. Let's see here. Whatever I do, it's something that needs to be done. Commissions. Let's see. What page have I got this? What page have I got the camera? Okay, transfer that. I suppose that's one upside of having like 10 zillion projects all going at once. No matter what it is you're doing, you have to be doing it. It's something that's urgent. Everything's urgent, you know. So I have no idea what species. Let's try poodle. Ow, ow, ow. Foot's hurting. Everything's hurting. I swear, if they had that head in the jar thing from Futurama actually available, I'd opt in. You know you've gotten old when most of your fantasies about the future, you know, have you ever seen this? Which superpower would you want? And I'm like, which one will give me a physically healthy body? Seriously, I'm like, I have no idea what a waitress would wear in a fancy restaurant, so I'm just winging it. People are begging to find out if I've got another chapter of the fan fictions ready to go. Oh, Lord. Now, it's been suggested to me that I should switch to the pay per up rather than a monthly pledge amount on Patreon. I should switch to a payment per update. They do have that, and darn it, things flipping out on me here. Now, I'm not sure how that would affect the rewards system, though. That's one thing I'm speculating on. Probably just change it to and changing the amount per update. That's I don't know. It's difficult to calculate. Yeah, you got to weigh the pros and cons. Figure out which would be most convenient for the readers, for yourself, which isn't going to cause the most grief for the readers. I mean, some guy pledges $10. Next thing I know, I have a brain surge, and suddenly I've made 50 updates in a couple of months. He's gonna be and you get what I'm saying. I don't know how to manage my life. It's that simple. Well, let me get the text for this one. Inbox. Gotta get the commissions. Old Vic. It's kind of sad. That music, you know, the music we're listening to in the back. Da, 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 classical music. Classical, beautiful classical music. Yet our culture has turned it into a audio cue, an audible cliche. I'm trying this method. I'm trying to do a rough sketch. Then I put down the text. Then I draw the rest of the picture. Then, you know, that way, well, for one thing, it makes the progress roll a little forward a little faster. It's a psychological trick, I suppose. And also, it helps me place the word bubbles. Maybe it helps, you know, kind of helps me place the word bubbles a little better. It's a tricky thing, you know, where you place the word bubbles can affect the flow You know, where you put where you put the bubbles, where you put the words, where you put the characters in relationship to them, even the little arrows, the bubble tails. It all adds up. It affects the flow of how people read and look at the comic. There are people who are absolutely brilliant at how they do it. True artists who can they can evoke so much just with the shape of the bubbles and placement. I'll tell you, I can't be the only one who's grateful that I got these tools here now. You should, if you've looked back over the old archives, you've seen how the state, the word bubbles and such from the past were, the lettering and the framing and everything else. Oh my lord, I am such a hack compared to actual professionals. I'm tempted just to put it up like this. Just see progress. There's some cartoonists that do that. There's some online web cartoonists that do that. Of course, the one I'm thinking of in particular, his artwork is, even after all these years, it is seriously amateurish. I mean, poor. I mean, I'm sorry. I'm just being honest. I'm not trashing the guy, but let me see here. Let me show you. Doctors. This is, super aliens and robots and things from other dimensions and magic and sci-fi and people swapping genders all over the place. So, but here, this is an indicator of his typical artistic level. And, well, his usual practice, he draws the pencils and sketches and posts those and then comes back and finishes them out. I'm pretty sure that'd be gratifying to anybody who wants the story really, really, no, gimme. Ah, But still. Of course, the way my page is set up, going back and updating an image is a bit complicated. And I'm never quite sure I've gotten it right. It's very complicated. It's not just matter of merely a matter of replacing a GIF, an image file. You got to go through a great deal of rigmarole to get the page and the image and everything all reoriented. So I kind of avoid that solution. Eh, documents. Brushes for show. My stories, new website. What am I looking for? What was I looking for? Just a second. I've forgotten what I was looking for. Oh. I'll be right back. Just a second. Is that stupid camera on the right page? Oh yes, okay. I'm just adding the text to this. Okay. Okay. Let's do that. Oh my. He's when he's drawn Quentin, and the probability he's basically going to be gone for an instant and back. And considering the circumstances, he's going to spend most of his life presuming that it was some sort of really weird dream. You know, I know it's a cheap cop-out, but... Okay, it is 10 o'clock. I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up for the night. I hope some of what I did tonight was entertaining at least. I'm going to try, be a little responsible, and pick up tomorrow. I'm going to start, I'm thinking of starting the broadcast sometime in the morning. I'm going to try and get some good sleep tonight, and I'm going to try and get up tomorrow. And we'll run a long day, and I'm going to focus on just drawing and nothing else. See if we can't get some stuff done. For now, I want to wish you all a good night, and thank you very much for tuning in. And God bless you all. And if you get a chance, say a prayer for me, because God Almighty knows I need all the help I can get. So it really would hurt if you asked him for some for me. I will catch you all later. Good night.